Hi, everyone. So my name is Ben Varick. I'm the Outpost Director here at camp. I'm up at camp. I'm in the MLC office. It's pretty wonderful up here. The birds are singing. The snow and the ice is all melted. It's a wonderful time, and we're really excited for the summer to start. As I said, I'm the Outpost Director, and my role this summer is to support the trip leaders and all the trips that grow out. If you have any questions or thoughts or comments or ideas, I'd love to hear them. Please email me or call me at any time. The format of this webinar will be about a 15-minute presentation followed by questions. At any time, if you want to interject with a question, please do. You can unmute yourself or type a question into the chat box if you think the chat box is up on the top left of your screen. All right, without further ado, let's get started. So this webinar, this presentation, has two parts. First, what you can expect when you get to camp and for your trip, and secondly, how you can prepare in the next month or two before your trip starts. And then we'll have questions at the end, like I said. So first things first, when you get to camp that first day, you'll arrive in the afternoon, and you'll meet your group and check into camp, do the swim challenge, have dinner in Nash, talk about some expectations as an Outpost participant, and get settled into your cabin here at camp that first night. Then those next 4 days while you're at camp will be spent forming your trip group and getting ready for your trip. I think the most important part of that is forming your trip group and starting to work together and practice working together as you will as a group. That happens both facilitated. We'll do a day of low and high ropes course work, as well as packing out your food and your gear and paddling training, on the water training, are also great opportunities to start working with your trip group. Then you'll drive from camp to Minneapolis and fly from there to Juneau, where you'll camp for the night and then start your trip. 45 days later, you'll arrive back in Juneau, camp for the night, and then fly to Minneapolis the next day and drive back to camp. When you arrive back at camp at the end of your trip, you'll have a day of cleaning your gear and debriefing the experience you just had with people here at camp. It's an opportunity to transition off of your trip, and it culminates in the paddle-in ceremony, the paddle and welcome home ceremony. So the last afternoon at camp, you'll be paddling and hiking in with the rest of the Expeditionary level trips. The Expo Canuck and Expo Pacific groups will paddle in from the island, and the Expo Alaskans will hike in from South Bay, and everyone will converge on the waterfront steps in the boathouse, where you'll meet your family and people that have come to greet you. It's a time to share stories and be ceremonially welcomed back into the community. After dinner that night, there'll be a slideshow where all of the Expo trips will share their stories and pictures and adventures and growth from their trip. Please RSVP to that, any guests that are coming, so we can prepare for Nash how many people we need to cook for. So the part that I skipped over there, the 45 days in the middle, arguably the most important part of your experience. What is your trip going to be like? You'll be paddling in the coastal waters of Alaska's Inside Passage, starting and ending in Juneau, following shorelines and paddling up rivers and glacial valleys. There are big open water crossings, large mountain views, glaciers, icebergs, killer whales, bald eagles, salmon. I've heard a lot of amazing stories of people catching and eating delicious fish along the way. Yeah, it's a pretty spectacular place. On this trip, risk management is important because of how remote the trip is. And the most important part of risk management is prevention. Preventing incidents is something that is the responsibility of the whole group, not just the trip leaders. And we ask that everybody takes it seriously. It's an opportunity for growth, for thoughtfulness, and it's an important role that everybody plays. The specific risks that you'll encounter on this trip are, as I said, the remoteness, open water crossings, bears, weather, cold water, and a host of other things that we can't predict, which is why awareness is an important part of that prevention. Your trip leaders. So you should have received a letter introducing themselves, a letter from your trip leaders introducing themselves by now. They will perhaps reach out to you before the summer starts to continue or start a conversation about your trip. Your trip leaders have been hired because of the experience they have. They are all really experienced in both paddling and backcountry travel, as well as facilitating social and emotional growth. Before the summer starts, they go through a lot of trainings and certifications. They're all Wilderness First Responder trained. Wilderness First Responder is a course put on by the Wilderness Medical Associates. It's a 9-day first aid course focusing on administering first aid in the wilderness, as well as an ACA Coastal Kayak Guide course and Wilderness Water Safety or Lifeguarding. Then, in addition to that, we host our 11-day training here at camp. All of the trip leaders have been through this many times, but it's important to refresh those skills and to continue having conversations about trip leading. So those 11 days are focused on small group facilitation, risk management, technical, emotional, and social skills, collaborative leadership, and it culminates in a 5-day training trip to continue working on those skills. The group that you're going to be a part of is a really important part of the trip experience. There will be harmony within your group. There will be times when you're all in sync, as well as times when there's disequilibrium, when you're not all in sync. And this is okay. It's really hard to work with such a small group of people for 45 days and not get in arguments. And those arguments and disagreements are some of the most important growth opportunities on your trip. You may know some of the people in your group before you get here. We ask that you come with open minds and no expectations so that you can build a great community with those people. 45 days with a small group builds a great community, but it takes a lot of work for that community to be a productive, positive one. The more you're invested in building a good team, the better your group will work together. So this kind of transitions to the second part of the presentation. What you can do to prepare in the next couple months before the summer, the next month and a half, really. The first part of that is gear. So you all should have received a recommended packing list of gear to bring to camp. If you haven't, it's available on our website. And there were a couple things that I wanted to highlight. The first of which are boots. I like to think of boots in a couple different categories. Wet shoes that you'll be paddling in, that you'll be carrying your boats over slippery rocks in. These boots should provide good ankle support, good traction. You'll be wearing them over your dry suits while you paddle. Something that you're going to want to wear in your kayak for 45 days. They need to be durable. Some people like high-topped waterproof boots. Some people prefer a smaller profile boot. It's really up to you, but they need to be durable, provide ankle support, and good traction. The second pair of boots or the second pair of shoes that you should bring are shoes to wear in camp. These also should provide good traction and ankle support and should be comfortable. They can be lighter weight than the shoes that you'll be wearing in your boats and when you're moving around during the day, but they should be able to work as your wet shoes in a pinch in case something happens to your wet shoes as backup. The third pair that some people like to bring are shoes to dry your feet out in. When you get to camp, to keep your feet from growing weird funguses and things, it's good to have a pair of Crocs are pretty popular, or something like it, where you can put them on and let your feet dry out when you first get to camp. Layering is also important, both underneath your dry suit and while you're in camp. For layers underneath your dry suit, I like to wear long underwear and then have a fleece available that I can put on underneath my dry suit as well for added warmth in case it's a really cold day. When you're in camp, it's important to have an additional set of long underwear and fleeces and some rain gear to put on over those jackets to keep you dry. Dry bags are also really important to keep all of your personal gear dry. The smaller those dry bags are, the easier they are to fit inside of your kayak. We recommend 10, 15, maybe 20-liter dry bags to fit your gear in. How else can you prepare? So you can prepare for this trip physically. We hope that you come to camp ready for an arduous adventure, physically demanding work. If you can exercise, that's great. Any opportunity that you have to paddle or get in a boat is great. There are a lot of cities and universities have free or pretty cheap paddling sessions, pool roll sessions where you can go in the pool and learn how to roll or practice your roll or practice your paddling. I recommend all of that. Additionally, you can prepare mentally. And there are 2 prompts that I want to leave you with for the next month and a half to let them percolate. And if you arrive with some clarity on these prompts, I think you'll get more out of this trip. First prompt is, what will you add to your group? And how do you hope to grow from this experience? So that ends kind of the presentation that I had. I hope to open this up for any questions. You can type questions into the chat box, or you can unmute yourself. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? So there's a question, are we expected to know how to roll? No, you are not expected to know how to roll, but if you know how to roll, that's great. There might be opportunities on your trip to learn, and any opportunity to learn beforehand in a warm pool would be great. So not expected, but encouraged. Great question. All right, well, thank you all for joining me tonight. If anybody has any further questions that you want to ask me, don't hesitate to call or email me. My email address is outpost.director@manitowish.org, manito-wish.org. Yeah, I'm here to support the trips this summer. Let me know how I can help. Thank you all for coming tonight.